Hello, parents. Thank you for joining us tonight during our virtual open house. My name is Ms. Heenan, and this will be my 13th year teaching science at Hampton Bays Middle School. I am so happy to be back in the classroom with your child this year. So, this school year definitely looks a little different, and I want to start by speaking about what our goals are for class this year. Above all else, we want to make sure that everyone is safe. So far, all of our students have done a fantastic job getting used to the new rules and procedures in school. We have started the school year off slowly, taking time during the first couple of weeks to get to know one another. We also have been practicing class procedures, such as logging into Google Classroom, logging into Google Calendar, logging into Google Meets. We've been practicing working on and submitting our assignments, and we've taken some time to experiment with our online laboratory gizmos. Your children have done a great job being patient with me as I learn to teach in this hybrid setting, and I feel confident that we are all getting more comfortable with these new daily routines. Now that we're getting the hang of the school year, we are starting to dive deeper into our curriculum, which I'm really excited about and we'll discuss more on the upcoming slides. At the end of the day, my main goal for your child is for them to develop a love for learning. Most of the time, students think that they need to memorize information to get the right answer, but science is going to look a little different this year. There's going to be less focus on getting it right and a much greater focus on the process, on how we do science. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about our standards. Okay, the standards that we are doing in science, it's the next generation science standards, and they look a little bit different from what we've done in the past. Okay, our standards this year have three domains. The first domain, called the science and engineering practices, are essentially the skills that we're going to be working on in class this year. Okay, basically, I tell the students it's the what we are doing in class each day. In our current unit of study, in which we are making claims, your students, your children are going to be working on three of these skills. Okay, we're going to be working on skill 7, which is engaging in argument from evidence. Skill number 3, we're going to be planning and carrying out our investigations. And skill number 4, analyzing and interpreting the data. Okay, so those are the 3 skills we're going to be working on currently, but throughout the year, we're going to be hitting upon all 8 of these different science skills. Our second domain, the disciplinary core idea, is the content that students will be learning about. Okay, this is basically what we're going to be learning, okay, what the science is we're going to be focusing on. Okay, in science this year, 8th grade science, our main focus is biology and living environment. Okay, the course that your kids are actually taking is called Regents Living Environment, and our major units of study are listed up here. We're going to be looking at matter and energy in organisms and the ecosystem. We're going to be looking at inheritance and variation in traits, genes, proteins, and tissues. We'll be talking about evolution, common ancestry, adaptation, natural selection, and we're going to end off the year talking about the ecosystem, biodiversity, and human impacts on the environment. Okay. In our first unit of study, your kids actually started researching cells. So feel free to ask them about the cell lab we did in class. They all did a fantastic job observing and making connections about the different cells that we have in our body and how they relate to the cells of other living things. Okay, the last domain we're going to be focusing on this year is called the cross-cutting concepts. So it's basically how I want your kids to be thinking about science. For example, when we were looking at cells, I told the students to think structure and function. How does the structure of a cell influence how it does? And they did a really nice job identifying the structures, the shapes of the cells, and relating that to what it actually does in our body. In our current unit, with making claims and arguing based on evidence, we're going to be looking a lot at cause and effect. Okay, that's cross-cutting concept number 2. How does changing one variable in an experiment affect our results? So these are going to be basically how we're thinking throughout the year. Each unit, we're going to touch on a different one of these concepts. Okay, so because there's so much more emphasis on the process of science and we're no longer just testing what information the students know, our grading policy and our assessments are going to look a little bit different. Okay, the most critical piece to the grading policy is your child's participation. Most of the learning happens during class time, okay, when we're given opportunities to share our ideas, discuss concepts, watch and reflect on videos, engage in virtual labs, and interact with one another. Please encourage your child to attend class daily, whether that means in person or on Google Meets, and please encourage them to complete all activities during class time. Okay, so often parents say, what did my child miss? Can you send me the notes? It's really so much more than just sending the notes. Class time is really so valuable, and we appreciate everything you can do to get your kids to show up to school. Okay, so here's what our grades are going to consist of. We're going to be doing labs this year. Okay, this year we're able to probably do a little less hands-on labs because of social distancing, but we're going to be doing some virtual labs this year. Our unit assessments, this could be a 10-question quiz or maybe a writing assignment that assesses a cross-cutting concept or a science and engineering practice. Homework won't be given in the traditional sense where, kids come home and they have an assignment to do every night, but maybe once a week there will be an asynchronous assignment, something that I want them to complete on their own. It might be a video they watch before class, or maybe a graphic organizer to fill out to help them organize their thoughts. But if anything, homework will be a once a week assignment. And then classwork, as we said, probably the most important part. Kids are getting graded daily on whether or not they are participating, not always about getting the right answer, but if they just show up and try and participate in the activities we're doing in class, they're going to get credit for that. Okay, so I'm asking that you check in on your child's progress often. Okay, the parent portal is a great tool for you to use to check up on your child's graded work. You can get insight into all the grades in the grade book for any subject. So you can access the parent portal. I'm going to show you this right now by going to our school's website. Okay, if you scroll down on the website, we have this link right here for the parent portal. It's going to ask you to log in. You have to set up an account. If you're struggling with any of that, if you need help, please send me an email and I will make sure that you get the help you need to log in. Okay, while the parent portal is a great tool, it won't necessarily help you keep track of your child's daily assignments. Okay, so this is where Google Calendar comes in handy. I'm going to open up Google Calendar right now. Google Calendar has events for every upcoming assignment your child has for all of their classes. Okay, so right now we are looking at my classes. I'm only teaching science this year. So you will see that on top, here's an announcement for my advisory, and here's an upcoming assignment. We have our cell types quiz coming up on Thursday, okay, which is today for those of us watching the video on Thursday. And down below, we can also see the Google Meets. So this is where your child can access what assessments or assignments they have coming up. They can also access their Google Meets, join with Google Meet if they just click the link. Also, keep in mind that if you click on the assignment, more information will pop up. So if your child is confused about what they have to do, try clicking on the assignment and they can see more information there. One thing to point out, if you're not seeing anything on your child's calendar, make sure that their calendars are actually checked. If you uncheck a course, the events disappear. Okay, so sometimes that happens by mistake. So just make sure that all of the correct courses are checked for the year. Okay, lastly, I want to discuss Google Classroom. This page has everything we are working on in class. So let's take a look at what Google Classroom can look like. Okay, when your children sign in, they will have all of their courses. All right, if there's an assignment due, it will be listed in this white box over here. Currently, I have no assignments for my science classes, but you can see that it's broken down for the stream. Okay, the stream is where I post daily do now assignments. I will post the objectives for the day. I will post videos to help students with assignments. And oftentimes I will put little notes here on what they're responsible for by the end of the day. The classwork tab, this is where we can find all of their assignments. Okay, I have it broken down by topic. So here was our first topic of study, cell types. These are all the assignments listed down here. There's links to vocab for students to study. There's the links for class notes, and all students can turn in their assignments through Google Classroom. Okay, students can also communicate with their teachers through Google Classroom. So if they are struggling with an assignment, if there's something they don't understand, they can click on the assignment and they can type private comments. So please encourage your child to reach out to me if they are confused about anything or if they need help with any assignments. I'm always happy to help. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about Google Meets. This is something that has taken some time to get used to, but I think we're getting there. On days that your child is working from home, they will be attending class through Google Meets. Okay, we have been live streaming. Some days the technology isn't perfect, but for most days, kids are able to live stream into the classroom. They're able to see my board, they're able to hear the discussion in class, and we're expecting them to follow along with class activities. Okay, so as I showed you before, students can access the meeting link from Google Calendar. I ask that students log in on time, mute their microphone, and turn off their screen. Okay, I know it's not easy to follow along from the computer, but it's their job to follow along and participate in class with us. If students at home have any issues or questions, they can type to me in the chat. I routinely check it. I actually encourage them to type their questions into the chat, and I try to involve them in the conversation as much as possible. Okay, before I end this presentation, I want to point out that your child this year is enrolled in Regents Living Environment. Okay, this means that at the end of the school year, they will take a Regents exam. Upon successful completion of this exam, your child will receive high school level credit for this course. Okay, but in order to sit for this exam, students must complete a minimum of 1,200 minutes of lab work. This year, we're allowed to satisfy this requirement through virtual simulations and online experiments. If you have not done so already, please click the link in Google Classroom that's below this presentation and read over the lab requirement. I'm asking that you read the information and submit the form. If you have any questions or concerns about this, please reach out to me. I'm happy to talk more about what it means to be in a Regents level course with you, if there's anything you would like for me to clear up. Or if you have any other questions at all about this presentation, please feel free to contact me. Okay, here's my contact information. I have included my school phone number. Most likely, if you call the school, you're going to have to leave a message since I'm not in my classroom most of the day, but I will return your call as soon as possible. Okay, email is always wonderful. I check my email frequently throughout the day and I can respond to you almost immediately. Or if you would like, you can send me a text message. I have a number down here where you can send text messages through. I just ask that when texting, please identify yourself and your child. This way we can, get you an answer as soon as possible. All right. Thank you all again for taking the time to watch this presentation. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. Like I said, my main goal is for your child to have a successful year and to come home every day learning something new, happy with what they were able to do in school, and just to feel good about themselves and what they were able to produce. Thank you so much.